If I sound nasally at all, it's because I'm suffering from seasonal allergies right now, so just bear with me. The hardest part when it comes to decluttering is decluttering those sentimental items. You get emotional, there are memories attached to it, but what if you just have too much sentimental clutter? So today I'm going to share with you 7 tips on how to tackle and let go of those sentimental items and rid yourself from sentimental clutter. So let's start really easy. Get out all your sentimental clutter, lay it out, have it all in one place, and really take it in, take your time. Start with what is easiest to declutter, and I think the easiest thing to declutter is duplicates. So do you have sentimental items that refer to the same memory? So maybe it's 2 movie stubs from the same movie that you went to, or it's 2 trinkets or 2 tickets or 2 some type of memories from the same trip. So just duplicates from the same memory. You don't need to hold on to both of them. They both represent the same memory that you want to hold on to. So figure out where you have multiples of the same thing and then get rid of the excess. So for example, for me, I sometimes like to save bus tickets or train tickets from a specific travel, but I don't need to save every single train ticket or bus ticket that I get. I just need to save one. Then the second thing when it comes to decluttering is to remind yourself that gifts are supposed to bring you joy. Another area that is really difficult for most people to declutter are gifts. I'll put this within the sentimental item things because the gift sometimes reminds you of that person as well, and a lot of us feel guilty decluttering gifts. I totally understand you. It just sometimes feels like you might be disrespecting the person that put so much thought in giving you this gift, but it's helpful to remember that a gift is supposed to bring you joy, and I think the person who gifted it to you would agree that's supposed to give you value, give you joy, just add a little bit of happiness into your life. But if you just don't find value and joy and need a necessity or even space for that item in your home, then I think it's best to declutter it, to pass it on. If that person is really a friend and a family and means well, I think they wouldn't want you to hold on to something that is more of a burden than a blessing. Also, make sure to avoid this in the future. So maybe explain to the person giving the gift that you are on this path of minimalism. Maybe share with them what your goals are or why you're doing this, and maybe even give them some gift suggestions. So you could, for example, wish for a very specific item that you've had your eye on, or you could wish for experiences or consumables, for example, a massage or really high quality olive oil or high quality wine, just something that you enjoy but that is consumable so it won't clutter up your house. Most of our loved ones will understand this. They really do want to help us and bring us joy and support us. So oftentimes explaining it to them will help them understand and will avoid awkward situations down the line. Something you can ask yourself is, why is this so sentimental? So oftentimes we attach a certain memory to the item, it triggers a certain memory, but we do have to keep in mind that the memory exists or lives in our head separate to the item. So just because you get rid of the item doesn't mean that you will also lose the memory. And I think that's something that a lot of us are really scared of. So ask yourself, would the memory vanish if you got rid of the item? And sometimes we do have little things like a receipt or a ticket that triggers a certain memory that you hadn't really thought of or had kind of already forgotten in a sense. And I do have that as well with certain keepsakes, that it will trigger a memory that I wouldn't necessarily have come up with just on my own. But I do feel like those memories that are slumbering aren't too valuable memories in the sense that those aren't core memories. So even if you never ever remember that again, it wouldn't change you as a person or it wouldn't make your life any worse. But then again, you don't have to declutter all your sentimental items. So if you do have those little things like a receipt or a ticket stub that you want to keep to help you remember or help you trigger that memory, then of course you can always save a few sentimental items. Maybe try to restrict the amount that you collect. So for example, have a memory box where everything needs to fit into it. I personally have a memory folder where for each year I have an envelope where I will collect all the receipts and ticket stubs and what have you that I want to keep. Most of my keepsakes are paper based, so an envelope is actually really practical, and I have that all collected in one folder so it's nice and compact. Another option is also to digitalize your keepsakes. So for example, if it's, as I said, a receipt or a map or just something where you don't necessarily need to or feel like you have to have the physical copy, you can always go ahead and digitalize your keepsake. Even though this method is not my personal favorite, since I don't love to have everything digitized, since I know I won't necessarily go back and look at it if it's digital, and I just like the physicalness of the item. I think this is a really good choice for a lot of people who maybe want to keep a larger volume of keepsakes but then don't want to have it piling up in your home. You can have it digitally, but then also do note that you can have digital clutter. So just because it's digital, don't then just digitize everything and have this huge digital clutter. Especially photos are something that can be easily digitized and stored that way instead of having hundreds and hundreds of printed out photos. I don't have printed out photos anymore. I have them all digitized and will only print out the ones that I really want to have hanging on my wall. If you have a certain keepsake or you're not sure whether you're ready to let go of it or not, you're really on the fence about it, what I really like to do is to hide it away. And this might sound a little weird, but I do this actually not only with my sentimental items, but with anything that I'm decluttering where I'm really on the fence. I will collect it all in one place and then hide it away in the back of the closet or just somewhere where it's out of the way. I kind of pretend to have decluttered it. Make sure not to forget that you have that box and where it is, but it is to try out having decluttered that item. So do you miss it once you declutter it? Do you maybe regret having decluttered it? Do you even forget that you had it in the first place? And after a while, you will go back and get out all that stuff. A fun thing also is to try to remember what was actually in that box and just ask yourself a few questions of how did you feel without this thing? Did you even miss it while it was gone in a sense? And I find that most of the time this exercise helps me realize that I'm so much more ready to get rid of the item than I had thought initially, because maybe in the moment in the beginning you're still really emotionally attached to the item, but once it's out of sight and you've, in a sense, pretended decluttered it, you realize it's not that bad and you don't even miss it and you're so much more ready to part with it. And then last but not least, don't overwhelm yourself. It can be really overwhelming going through sentimental items, especially if it's of loved ones or situations that are really dear to you but are just not with you anymore. So take it slow and maybe don't do everything at once. Do it bit by bit. If you feel yourself getting overwhelmed, then maybe take a break. And it's also totally okay to have maybe even an emotional breakdown when you're going through sentimental items, trying to figure out what you want to keep, what you don't want to keep. So just be really gentle on yourself. On the other side of the spectrum, also try not to get too carried away. I know this happened to me where I wanted to go through my keepsakes and sentimental items and try to declutter some of it. I got really carried away in reminiscing and thinking about old memories and old trips and visits. So try not to get too carried away as well. Before I end out this video, I want to share with you a few sentimental items that I found really difficult to declutter. The main one that pops into my head straight away is a top or a t-shirt, I guess you could call it a t-shirt, that I wore on the first date that Johannes and I went on. And it's just so sentimental because I wore that, it was our first date, and I just have so many good memories attached to that, and I just still have those vivid memories of our first date. And even though I don't love that t-shirt anymore, it is great. It's not a color that I feel like suits me I'm still not able to part ways with it. Maybe someday I will be ready to part ways with it. It is also okay if you're not ready yet. Maybe you will be sometime in the future, so just give yourself time. Let me know in the comments down below, what is one sentimental thing that you find really hard to declutter and you're not ready to let go of yet. Maybe you don't really struggle with decluttering sentimental items. I would say I'm kind of halfway in between. Some things I don't have a problem with decluttering, but then there are a few selected items that are just really dear to me. If you like this video, if it helped you and inspired you to also declutter a little bit, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos all on living better, living simpler, and just having more ease and joy in life. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!